time Bangladesh, where there is a major political crisis after a chaotic last few months since the exit of Sheikh Hasina in August last year. The interim government, headed by Professor Muhammad Yunus, has now blamed foreign conspiracy for obstructing the normal functioning environment and for creating confusion and suspicion amongst the public. Of course, no prizes, in fact, for guessing which this foreign power is that he was referring to. He was clearly referring to India. India has outright rejected that assertion. Now, Yunus's remarks come at a time when his interim government continues to face huge backlash from the Bangladeshi public, as well as certainly from the quarters of the army. There is now an open rift between the Bangladesh Army Chief, General Wakar Zaman, and Muhammad Yunus. It is an ever-widening rift, and fundamentally it boils down to the demand now by the Army Chief that elections, democratic elections, have to be held by the end of the year, by December this year. Yunus, on the other hand, wants to delay that by at least another 6 months. So this is going to be a fundamental point of rupture between the Bangladesh Army Chief, General Wakar Zaman, and the head of the interim government, Professor Muhammad Yunus. Meanwhile, former Bangladeshi Prime Minister who was ousted, Sheikh Hasina, who's now in exile in India, she has hit out at Muhammad Yunus, accusing him of selling Bangladesh to America. She's referring to that same St. Martin Island, which she said the Americans wanted even when she was in power, and that she refused to give up sovereignty of the St. Martin Island to the United States. She, in fact, now says Yunus is doing exactly that. He is doing America's bidding by selling out sovereign Bangladesh territory, sovereign Bangladesh land into the hands of the Americans. This is a big charge that's been made by Sheikh Hasina. But it's not just the question of, the ongoing political tussle between the army chief and the head of the interim government. Ever since he assumed the reins of power under Yunus, Bangladesh seems to be on a downward spiral. From the outset, he had promised to hold early elections. In fact, that was one of the first things that he said right at the airport after landing back in Bangladesh after spending more than 10 years abroad. But he has yet to provide a specific date or a specific month or even a timeline by which he will be holding elections in Bangladesh, and that has caused a degree of concern. The army, the main opposition BNP party, they're all demanding elections be held as soon as possible with minimal reforms. Bangladesh is also struggling significantly, particularly in terms of attracting foreign investment. Following the withdrawal of US aid, which is the State Department's overseas aid arm, Switzerland too now has stopped donations, and all of this is delivering a major setback. In the first quarter, in fact, foreign investment has dropped to nearly 1/4 of what it was during the same period last year, and that reflects a 70% decline. According to the Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics, food inflation was at 10.72% in January of this year. Non-food inflation was 9.32%. Yunus's inconsistent foreign policy, criticizing countries like India, while at the same time cozying up to countries like China, that has unsettled investors. He's also indicated a very growing close partnership with rogue countries like Pakistan, and all of that is causing a degree of consternation among foreign investors. The chief advisor to Bangladesh interim government has advocated for the extension of the Chinese trading routes and the Chinese economic routes by saying that since the northeast of India is landlocked, Dhaka, according to him, is the only guardian of the ocean for the entire region, and that has put him directly in the crosshairs of both Delhi as well as India's northeastern states. There is also no accountability. Yunus heads a government with no mandate from the people. Since coming to power, there have been riots, there have been atrocities on minorities, all of which has increased. More often than not, there is no action taken by the law enforcement agencies to prevent such riots from recurring.
There is no doubt that there is a rising unrest in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has been divided into two camps. In one side, there is the army chief and the army who wants election as soon as possible. There is BNP, which is one of the largest political party out there. They want election at the earliest and they don't want delay of election. And definitely there are people there who are supporting them, and also banned Awami League supporters. Though they are not coming out with their banner, but definitely they are there in Bangladesh. On the other hand, on the other side, there is Muhammad Yunus interim government, the National Citizens Party, which is supporting the Muhammad Yunus interim government, who have brought them because they were behind this July movement in Bangladesh and a little bit of Jamaat there. Now this Bangladesh divided into two camps, that is very sure and that's quite clear. Adding to this, the latest development is there is now a protest going on in Dhaka Secretariat. The government employees, they are also now in protest because an ordinance have been brought by this interim government which is very harsh. Now they are protesting on that too. That has continued today and that is going to continue tomorrow also.
All right, I want to go back to Sushant Sareen of the Observer Research Foundation. So this whole public sparring that's been going on, Sushant, between the Bangladesh Army Chief and Professor Muhammad Yunus, the head of the interim government, is the stage now set for Yunus to be ousted? Because he's not quite giving a rationale or a cogent reason for why elections are getting delayed. The Awami League is asking about it. The BNP is asking about it. Now even the Army Chief, Wakar Zaman, is asking that question. Why are you not holding elections as per the agreed timeline? And if that's not going to happen, is Bangladesh, just like Pakistan, also staring at a military coup?
Well, I think the problems in Bangladesh are only deepening. They're not able to get around, they're not, this current regime is not able to function. It's not able to provide any kind of administration. It is trying to juggle with too many competing aims. It wants to take on India. It is doing everything possible that is inimical to India. It is getting into a bed with the Pakistanis. There are reports of the Pakistani ISI re-establishing its bases in Bangladesh and using Bangladesh now as a center for exporting terrorism into India, something which used to happen about 15, 16 years back. That is something which the Yunus regime has started once again. But that also means giving a free hand to elements who are going to be the cannon fodder of this Islamist jihad, which the so-called Nobel laureate wants to wage on India. And that means, disturbances on the streets of Bangladesh, which we are seeing. Now, clearly, there is a sense of disquiet in the Bangladesh army. There are also very serious divisions within the Bangladesh army. And the Bangladesh army, top brass, seems to think that because of the feckless governance, because of the disarray in administration, the economy not able to take off, actually tanking, law and order situation becoming worse and worse, something needs to be done. And even if reforms have to take place, they cannot be top-down reforms. Those reforms have to have a national consensus and have to have some degree of legitimacy, which will only come through an election. Now, Yunus wants to stay in power till the end of his life, whenever that might be. What is the guarantee that by next June he will call elections? And what is it that he proposes to do in the period between December and June, which he cannot do now between June and December of this year? Why does he want to prolong it to June of next year? What's that game plan? What great new breakthrough will be made in those 6 months, which cannot be made in the next 6 months? He is not giving a clear answer to that. And the excuse being used is a very common excuse, which is also used in Bangladesh's twin brother, Pakistan, which is that, this regime has come and it needs to undertake all the necessary reforms.
Sushant, we'll leave it at that. Like you said, it's going to be a year in a couple of months in August since Sheikh Hasina was ousted. There is no reason, no cogent explanation for why elections are not being held. And instead, Professor Muhammad Yunus has been training his guns on India, blaming India for all the woes and troubles that his country seems to be facing.
Network 18 decimates Times Internet with over 6 times more unique users on social media. Network 18, the undisputed leader of news networks, way ahead of the times.